Donald Trump is a con artist.
Donald Trump is a con artist.
He's a con man. I think it's time to unmask him for what he is.
He took all this time talking all that shit just to get appointed as a Secretary of State. This next 4 years is going to be hell. Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about Trump's appointees. Apparently he's appointed some pretty interesting people. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment for more videos like this. Hit the bell and let's get into it. One of the people that Trump has appointed is the real Tom Homan. And this person is going to be the border czar. As you could tell, he's a total chudlican, short for Republican. He's just a fucking chud. And his banner is Border 911. So if you don't have any idea of how this is gonna go, I don't know what to tell you. Former acting ICE director, retired federal agent. Cool. We love that for us. But it seems like he's an extreme hardliner.
I hear a lot of people say, the talk of a mass deportation is racist. It's threatening to the immigrant community. It's not threatening to the immigrant community. It should be threatening to the illegal immigrant community. But on the heels of a historic illegal immigration crisis, that has to be done.
How you doing?
At the Republican National Convention this summer.
Am I surprised that he has a full-blown Staten Island accent? How you doing? Not really. We are not.
Tom Homan was the proud pitchman of mass deportation.
I got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that Joe Biden's releasing our country. You better start packing now.
Over 3 decades, he worked his way up from border patrolman to acting director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the agency known as ICE, during the first year and a half of the Trump administration.
Great. We're so screwed.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on that?
Wait, I'm sorry. That's your job. What do you mean you wouldn't know how much mass deportation costs? That's like your whole fucking identity. Are you serious?
Social Security. Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Brother, what? All right, well, that's another way of going about it, I guess. God, that's bad. Oh, let's see what he has to say here.
You see behind me, it's just one of the many reasons Border 911 fights so hard. We have to secure our borders. We have to save lives.
This boomer couldn't even get a $5 mic off of Amazon? He's just standing there in the wind. I don't even understand what he's trying to say. Lost voices of fentanyl. Okay, once again, I don't know how many times I have to tell you all this, but Americans are the ones bringing fentanyl into the country, not undocumented immigrants. This has been widely proven.
Is that American citizens are found guilty more often than immigrants of smuggling fentanyl across the U.S.-Mexico border. So once again, it looks like fear-mongering is the tactic being used by both Democrats and Republicans to try to win this election. But do your research and you'll see that Americans are smuggling fentanyl across the border way more than undocumented immigrants. Nonetheless, we shouldn't allow drugs into this country, and we should enforce laws that stop U.S. citizens from bringing fentanyl across the border.
All right, so maybe get a mic before you try to talk shit again, dude. Border 911 Foundation. What the hell is that? Join the Lost Voices of Fentanyl and Team Border 911 to learn more about our border security. Okay, he's the founder of Border 911. All right. Okay. That makes sense. Yes, about 80% of all fentanyl that comes into the country is brought in by Americans, but none of these people want to talk about it because it doesn't align with their grand scheme of their policy goals. Oh my God, of course. Bro, Dr. Phil is like the biggest fucking moron on earth. Like, I'm sorry. I hate to be that person, but like Dr. Phil is a dumbass. We could make a whole other stream about this, but like you see Dr. Phil say anything, you run. Dr. Phil has nothing to say that is of value to literally anyone. Triggered with Donald Trump Jr. Biden surrenders our border. Former ICE director Tom Homan on how cartels are exploiting the border disaster. All right, well, wow. Fox News did him dirty with this one. Look at that still screen. Oof.
Sources are reporting that migrant encounters this month are on pace to exceed November by 30%. I mean, the migrants, I guess, know that now's the time to come to America. I mean, why else are we seeing such a spike in the number of people breaching the southern border right now?
I think it's two things. Number one, they know they can cross the border legally.
Right.
They'll be processed quickly. They'll be flown to the city of their choice on taxpayer dime. Then they can get a work authorization since they're pending asylum seekers. So, and they don't see ICE removing anybody. I mean, at the time we have historic illegal immigration, we have historic low removal. So until they start seeing plane loads of people going home.
Okay, first of all, there are hundreds and thousands of people at the Mexican border who cannot come in. Like, that is a fact. There's actually an overcrowding issue involving that at the borders of Mexico because they don't have any access of coming in. And then when they do come in, they're not flown to a city of their choice, right? States like Texas with Greg Abbott will forcefully put them on a bus and then bus them to one of the liberal cities like NYC, okay? That's not true. And then, they just apply for asylum and they get a work visa. Like, it's not that simple. And for someone that's been working this position for so damn long, I would have thought he would have known more, but apparently he doesn't. He also spread a bunch of false shit like everyone else. Then it turns out Stephen Miller is his chief of staff, which... We must start a new denaturalization project under Trump in 2025, expected to be turbocharged. Stephen Miller, whatever, honestly, I don't even care how to pronounce his name, basically wants to turbocharge the denaturalization of people. And essentially what denaturalization means, it means like, it doesn't matter if you were born here, it doesn't matter if you have a citizenship, he wants to strip away your citizenship. So this isn't just for undocumented immigrants, this is for everyone. Let's say you've talked a lot about Palestine and you're a pro-Palestine protester. If they deem you as a national threat, they can push to denaturalize you, right? I mean, there's so many different ways that they can do this denaturalization process where they strip you away of your citizenship, and it's so scary. And that's like basically what Stephen Miller wants to do. And it's so scary because this opens a whole Pandora box of issues. Miller, who served as a senior advisor to Trump and was his lead speechwriter during his first administration, has been a leading advocate for more restrictive immigration policy and is expected to take on an expanded role in the president-elect's second term. He's been closely involved in Trump's transition process and will have a key role in future staffing decisions. During the campaign, he frequently traveled to rallies with Trump. Miller is also a lead architect of the president-elect's plans for mass deportations of undocumented immigrants. He has said that a second Trump administration would seek a tenfold increase in the number of deportations to more than 1 million per year. Now, the thing is, mass deportations are incredibly expensive because there's a whole process and procedure that goes around it that is mostly involving the government, and that needs funding. But if these people want to do it unethically and they want to cut costs, they can do a lot of unethical and bad shit in order to cut costs, which I wouldn't put past them. Longtime hardliner immigration, Miller was instrumental to setting up immigration restrictions during the first Trump administration. Now, the thing about the first Trump administration was that he was able to enact Title 42, and basically Title 42 stopped a lot of migrants from coming to America based on COVID restrictions. But the thing is, Title 42 isn't a thing anymore, and he can't really do that again because there aren't COVID restrictions, right? Therefore, he wants to use the 1798 Sedition Act, which Frozen OB Security just said in the chat. He wants to use a law that is from the 1700s in order to be able to mass deport everyone. Now, will he be able to use that law or not? I don't know. I don't think anyone truly knows if he'll be able to do it, but that's his plan. And Stephen Miller is basically like really hardliner, but also another thing about Stephen Miller is that he started the advisory group that contributed to Project 2025. And we've talked about Project 2025 before, but Project 2025 is essentially the conservative blueprint for the next Republican president to follow. And it has a bunch of different restrictions in it, like banning contraceptives, banning abortions nationwide. I mean, it goes from an array of different things to immigration, family homes, repro rights, all these different things, but it's like a blueprint for what the president should do. And he was one of the main architects around that, which is also very concerning. And then he also appointed Lee Zeldin to the Environmental Protection Agency. Lee Zeldin is a mega piece of shit. Like, I really don't like Lee Zeldin. So Lee Zeldin has been appointed to Donald Trump's cabinet as the EPA administrator. He says that he will restore U.S. energy dominance, revitalize our auto industry to bring back American jobs, and make make the US global leader of AI. So first of all, I don't really understand what AI has to do with being an EPA administrator. EPA is for the environment. Like, I don't understand what AI has to do with this. We will also do what we need to do to protect access to clean air and water. I don't believe that for a second at all. So although Lee Zeldin has tweeted that he will do what he needs to do to protect clean air and water, he has repetitively tried to vote to end the Clean Air Act standards and let corporations pollute our air at unsafe levels. And this is especially when it comes to his county's air quality that he is currently serving as a politician in, consistently rates as the worst in the state for air quality. So it's one of those things where it's like he says one thing, but then in practice he's completely different. The new EPA administrator saying he wants to make the US the global leader of AI is absolutely fucking deranged, and I totally agree with that. You know what I mean? It's deranged. I don't know what AI has to do with his position. And he's also generally a climate denier. He has received thousands of dollars from fossil fuel companies and polluters who will be essentially running the EPA. So essentially, Lee Zeldin is a threat to the entire planet. And it's really scary that he picked Lee Zeldin because Lee Zeldin does not have a good rap sheet when it comes to climate change. Environmental topics were not a big focus for Zeldin when he was a House member. You know what I mean? Like he's never really even cared about it. Reversing regulations often demands careful bureaucratic and legal spade work. Environmental groups are already gearing up to oppose Trump's deregulation policy. They noted Zeldin had just a 14% score in their lawmaker rankings when he was in Congress. So it's safe to say that he was also a pretty useless congressman, which honestly doesn't make that any better either. Zeldin, who has a lifetime 14% score of League of Conservative Voters, voted against these bills. So funding PFAS cleanup, I don't know if you guys know what PFAS are, but they're like a chemical. An amendment to block the Trump administration's proposed national ambient air quality standards, bill to invest in climate ambitious infrastructure, a bill to prohibit funding for explosive nuclear testings. I don't know why he would vote against that. A bill to withdraw 1 million acres of public land surrounding the Grand Canyon National Park for new mining claims. Mining! We're in the 2000s era, and this man is trying to advocate to mine as if we're in the fucking 1800s. Pro-environmental funding package for various federal agencies, and a bill to phase out harmful fishing gear in swordfish fishery. So this guy just does not give a shit. Like, he really does not care. He also picked Mike Waltz as the national security advisor. By picking Waltz, Trump is tapping into the Green Beret combat vet to oversee what promises to be the realignment of the U.S. posture around the globe, including a nearly 3-year-old war in Ukraine and broadening conflict in the Middle East. Waltz didn't play a central role in Trump's day-to-day campaign, but he has been close with the president-elect and his team since his first term. During this summer's Republican RNC in Milwaukee, Waltz delivered a podium-pounding red meat speech. Okay, I don't know what that means. I don't care about it. Robert F. Kennedy is supposed to be, well, he hasn't officially been assigned this, but he's supposed to be the health appointee. Yeah, he's supposed to be a part of the public health department. Public health researchers are alarmed, especially given Kennedy's positions to vaccines. I can't imagine anyone who would be more damaging to vaccines and the use of vaccines than RFK. Yeah. So RFK Jr. is supposed to be like the health person, but the issue is he's kind of an anti-vaxxer conspiracy theorist. At an entrepreneurs conference last week, Robert F. Kennedy said that he'd fire 600 federal health care workers at the NIH. It's one of the most concrete things he said he'll do on his still undefined role in the next Trump administration. Having this man a part of the public health department is kind of like having a person that does cashier work at a grocery store do your heart surgery. You don't want this guy anywhere near public health. And I'm not even trying to be regressive with that example, but like he has absolutely no place in holding this position. It's going to take decades to come back from it. 24 years ago, United States completely eradicated measles. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. helped bring it back and introduced it into a measles-free population. I heard that he brought measles to the Samoa because he wasn't vaccinated. How RFK Jr. falsely denied his connection to a deadly measles outbreak in Samoa. He also championed a Samoan anti-vaxxer tied to the 2019 lethal eruption that killed scores of children. In a 2023 documentary about vaccine opposition, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was asked about the deadly measles outbreak that occurred in Samoa in 2019 and claimed the lives of 83 people, mostly children. Kennedy, a lead anti-vaxxer who had visited the Pacific Island nation a few months before the outbreak, replied, "I'm aware that that was a measles outbreak. I had nothing to do with the people not vaccinating in Samoa. I never told anybody not to get vaccinated. I didn't go there with any reason to do with that." Kennedy was disingenuous, sidestepping his connection to that tragedy. Children's Health Defense, a nonprofit anti-vax outfit he led until becoming a presidential candidate, had helped spread misinformation that contributed to the decline of measles vaccines that preceded the lethal eruption. And during his trip to Samoa, Kennedy had publicly supported leading vaccination opponents there, lending credibility to anti-vaxxers who were succeeding in increasing vaccine hesitation among Samoans. Moreover, in 2021, Kennedy, a little noticed blog post, hailed one of the vaccine foes as a hero. In an interview in his film, Kennedy, as he has frequently done, was downplaying his actions as one of the most prominent anti-vax conspiracy theorists in the world who has worked with and bolsters anti-vaxxers around the globe. In the years prior to 2019, measles was not a problem in Samoa, but in 2018, 2 infants died from receiving the measles vaccine. The country quickly placed a vaccine program on hold as vaccine opponents, including Children's Health Defense, exploited these deaths to raise questions about the safety of the vaccines. The vaccination rate plummeted from 60 to 70% range to 30%. The problem, it turned out, was not the vaccine. 2 nurses had mistakenly mixed the vaccine with muscle relaxant. What the fuck? How do you mix a vaccine with muscle relaxant? Jesus. During the stretch of which the vaccination coverage was dropping in Samoa, Kennedy visited the nation in June 2019 and gave a boost to anti-vaxxers there who had used the death of those 2 infants to help cause the drop in vaccination rates. He had a meeting with Taylor Winterstein, a prominent Samoan Australian vaccination foe. In an Instagram post featuring a photo of her and Kennedy, Winterstein wrote, I am deeply honored to have been in the presence of the man I believe is and can be and will change the course of history. All right, so basically, long story short, 2 nurses mixed muscle relaxer with vaccinations regarding measles in the Samoa. 2 kids understandably died because you're not supposed to inject muscle relaxers into children. And so what happened was that Kennedy went there and he basically started bragging about how vaccines are terrible. Measles breakout happens and 83 people, most of which children, end up dying because they weren't vaccinated. And Kennedy goes on to deny the whole thing, or deny involvement in the whole thing. This is going to be our public health czar. That's so bad. Oh my God. So these are all the appointees that we know about Donald Trump. Like, we're still waiting for more to come out. Oh wait, he had Marco Rubio. So he also appointed Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, but Marco Rubio explicitly said yesterday that he will not call for a ceasefire in Gaza. But it's weird because Marco Rubio denounced Trump as a con artist years ago.
There is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
Donald Trump is a con artist.
He's a con man. I think it's time to unmask him for what he is. A con man who's taking advantage of people's fears and anxieties about the future, portraying himself as some sort of strong guy. He's not a strong guy.
He took all this time talking all that shit about Donald Trump just to get appointed as a Secretary of State. This next 4 years is going to be hell. See, this is also what I fucking hate about politicians. Like, they will flip so fucking fast when they get that opportunity that will bolster their career. They will kind of switch their messaging. They will switch what they're doing. They will switch everything they think about. It's wild.
Here's the guy that inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
I don't understand. I really don't. I don't get it. So they've historically gone at each other's necks, but now they're not. They're gonna be working together. I don't fucking know. Anyways, those are all the appointees that we know of so far. I'll keep updating y'all as we go. The next 4 years is going to be an absolute rabbit shit show. It's gonna be like an episode of South Park, but like real life, and it's gonna take us decades to try to come back from it. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment for more videos. Hit that bell so you get the notification when I post a new video, and I'll see you guys next time.